Not so good. Bad. Worse. Dull, stale, flat, boring, and unprofitable. And I wrote it. There are few things worse than editing one's own writing, even when you're the Pope. Especially when you're the Pope. I, Gregory, the Bishop of Rome, heir to the Apostles and Chief Pontiff, Patriarch of the West, or, as I prefer, servant of the servants of God, I am writing drivel. Gregory. The name is Greek, you know. Never learned the lingo myself. It put me at a disadvantage when my old master, the old Pope, sent me to the East as his ambassador. His Apocrisiarios. That's Greek too. Anyway, Gregory is Greek and it means watchman. So if the shoe fits, here I am, Gregory of Rome, Bishop and Pope, named and called and consecrated to be watchman for the whole people of God. But I ask you, is there any post high enough to survey the whole world? I can scarcely get a good view of the city of Rome, even from the highest of its 7 hills. And yet God has called me to be watchman for the whole world, called to preach convincingly, expound the scriptures persuasively, and proclaim salvation to the ends of the world. And I condemn myself as these words come out of my mouth. For I can read as well as write, and when I read what I've written, I sometimes can scarcely keep awake even as I do so. I know that I do not practice what I preach, or preach even as I should, and even what I manage so inadequately. I can't deny that I'm guilty of laziness and negligence. Do you think that by recognizing and acknowledging my failure, it will win me pardon with a sympathetic judge? Anyone? Everyone's a critic. We are made in God's image. Before my election, when I was living as a monk, or even when I was Apocrisiarios to Constantinopolis, or archdeacon and prefect of Rome, even with my diaconal duties, I was able to devote my mind almost continually to prayer and to keeping my tongue from idle talk. But since taking on this burden, and what a burden it is, this weight of pastoral care for the whole Christian world, I find it almost impossible to focus. My mind is distracted by my responsibilities. I'm forced to face problems with churches and monasteries. I'm called upon to judge people by their lives and actions. On one hand, I'm forced to take part in business with the city and the province, and on the other, I have to worry about barbarian invasions out on the borders, to say nothing of the wolves who menace the flock in my care, and there are some pretty sharp teeth right here in the city of Rome. I have civic responsibility to support law and order. In doing so, I have to put up with villains, while at the same time confronting them, but delicately, so as not to lose the little power of persuasion at my disposal. My mind is divided and torn by all of this burden. So when I try to concentrate and pool my mental resources to write a sermon, how can I do justice to the eloquence of the gospel itself? Here's the problem. Because of all that burden, as I say, I often have to associate with men of the world. They come in here, and they sit, and they chat, and I have to be polite and nod and put on my best coffee hour smile. Nothing works better than a smile and a nod and a, oh, you don't say. But sometimes I get so cozy with these guys, like one of the family, and I do mean the family, that I relax the discipline of my speech. I mean, you know, if I stuck to sounding like a starched shirt, stick in the mud, oh, he's the Pope, don't you know, with a rigorous, strict mode of utterance that you and I both know is how I should talk. If I stuck with that level of formality, I know that these guys would recoil from me, and I would never get them to the point I want to reach with them. So I have to sit and listen patiently to their endless chatter, nodding and smiling, and because I'm only human, I get drawn into their idle talk, and I actually find coming out of my mouth the kind of rubbish that previously I didn't even want to enter my ears. They pull me back in, and I come to relish wallowing where once I wouldn't even wanted to have tread. Fools do rush in where angels fear to tread. What kind of a watchman am I? Or what kind of a fool? I don't stand on the heights of achievement. I languish in the depths of my weakness, churning out rubbish. And yet, the Creator and the Redeemer of the world can give me, unworthy though I be, enough grace, enough altitude, even if only on one of Rome's 7 little hills, to see life all at once, as if it were entire. And I know that at my best, through the one who called me, I can summon up the power, not mine, but his, to speak of what I see, and to speak it effectively, with conviction. It is, in the end, for love of him that I find the strength to preach him.